everybody, and welcome back to Awaken with Lizzie B. I'm, of course, Elizabeth Scarcella, and I am here with my co-host, Aimee Mosco.
Hi, everybody.
And if you're following along with us, which hopefully you are, you will know that this is week 5 in our video series about her book. We are in the virtual book club, and we are reading this book.
Gratitude plus forgiveness times love equals happiness.
Yes, we are, and we are still on chapter 1, so if you feel like you've missed something, you really haven't, because we're going to recap at least last week what we talked about, and we're going to move forward now. So in last week's episode, we talked about such a thing as reincarnation, and I know that's kind of a hard topic for some of you, but we are just asking you to consider that perhaps this isn't the first time and only time that we were here.
Right.
We used the example of people that you might have met, or familiar places that felt familiar to you that maybe you've never been. And why is that? If you've never been to a place and yet it feels familiar,
Right.
perhaps you've been there before.
This is true. Or many times before.
And so today we are going to bring this forward. We are keeping on the subject with reincarnation, and we are talking about, are you here just to do a solo journey on your own? Are you here to just learn? Because we learned that too. We learned that we're here to learn. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right, that's the point. That's
right.
why we're here.
That is the point. So the point of why we're here is to learn, and that this probably isn't our only time that we've done this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so Aimee is going to continue to teach us in chapter 1, and what is it that you're going to tell us today?
Okay, well, I'm going to explain a little bit about why it's not a solo journey. You're not just here doing these lessons and carrying out these experiences on your own. You're actually connected and carrying your friends with you from lifetime to lifetime. Hooray! Okay, so I'm going to read a little excerpt still from chapter 1. It's called The Collective Soul. We tend to identify ourselves as individuals, but we learn most profoundly when we engage others. This is so because on a higher level, souls operate as a collective. We have specific goals to meet as part of the collective, but whatever we learn as an individual speaks to the progression of all souls. We often incarnate with the same souls over and over to meet a group objective as well. Have you ever met someone for the first time but felt like you already knew that person? Have you felt magnetically drawn to a stranger for no apparent reason? Is it likely that you've experienced other incarnations in which you were friends or were connected in some capacity to learn something? Well, yes, it's very likely that you were connected in another time and place to learn something, and it may have been what you're here to learn now. This might be part 2 of the lesson.
Right. I mean, there is no way that you guys can say that you haven't met somebody and had an instant bond with them, whether it was somebody that you were interested in dating, or it was someone that is a friend, or someone that you decided to do a project with or a business with.
Right. I know I've had that experience many times, and this was before any of my intuitive abilities came in. It was like, you know, you can look at someone and you feel it in your body. You feel like, wow, there's this instant recognition that that wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be able to explain it if we couldn't say, well, maybe we knew them from another time and place. Because what's the explanation?
Right. Can I tell them our story?
Yes, tell them our story.
Okay, so we have a mutual friend, which if you're out there watching, hopefully you are. Hi, Brian.
Hi,
With
Brian.
a Y. Brian with a Y. So our friend, Brian Malandine, of course, I didn't even know that Aimee existed, and I was sort of new to Coachella Valley, and he said, there's someone that I need for you to meet. And I thought, yeah, sure, yeah, one of these days, you know, we all say that to somebody, right? Oh, you need to meet so-and-so. And so I thought, yeah, someday, one day. And he got on his phone right then, and he texted Aimee and made arrangements for me to meet Aimee the very next day. Couldn't even believe that Aimee was available. It's almost like she was waiting for the call. On some level, you might have been.
I had a cancellation. Right? It was divine intervention.
You remember that?
No, not really. I'm just making that up.
I know. So anyways, we met at a local coffee shop, and I didn't know what she looked like. I just knew that she was someone I needed to meet. And when she walked in the door in this busy coffee shop, I saw her, and literally my body stood me up. I literally stood up, and I walked to her, she walked to us, and I hugged her. Yep, not just like a little, oh, hi, nice to meet you, but like an embrace
Yeah.
My long lost friend, and I started to cry.
It was like in that moment, it was like, oh, where have you been?
Right.
Finally.
Yes.
You know, it felt more like a reconnection rather than meeting someone for the first time.
Right.
And I'm sure you've all had those experiences. Maybe not to that degree, but you know, you've had those kinds of experiences where there's this instant recognition.
Right.
So,
or at the very least, you felt very comfortable with them from the start, and there wasn't this weird thing of having to small talk and wonder what we can figure out that we know in common, that the conversation just flowed easily, and it might not have been about a particular topic, it just flowed.
Right.
And so what you're saying, I think, if I can understand this, is that while we have our own lessons to learn, we have lessons to learn collectively or jointly with somebody else. So when you and I met, we're learning, as we're doing right now with you guys, that we're here to collectively, together, jointly, help people.
That's right. Right. We've agreed in a co-creative endeavor to help other people. So, and the nice thing is when you recognize these relationships and you honor them, then you can get right down to business. Then you don't have to do that dance of like, oh, do we know each other? Or this is weird because maybe we're moving too fast. You don't have to do that.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to the word co-create, because I don't know that everybody understands what co-create means.
Okay.
So give us in layman's terms what co-create means.
Okay, co-creation is whenever you engage in an act with another person that creates an outcome that you both had to contribute in order to create this outcome.
Got it. Okay, clear. So you're right, like talking about moving fast. So my husband and I, when we met, and I didn't want to meet him because he wasn't my type at all. We met on Match.com, in case you're wondering. And I met him on a Monday, March 21st, and by the end of that day, we were literally planning our life, like literally. And we did not worry that it was going too fast. I remember we stayed past the closing of this wine bar. Of course, if you know anything about him, we would meet at a wine bar. He's not an alcoholic, he just likes wine. And the place closed, so we were kicked out and we were standing on the street. And I said, so when do we see each other next? And it's like 1 a.m. and he goes, is tomorrow for breakfast too soon? And that was it, right?
Right.
So as you're saying, when we honor relationships and the co-creation and why we are supposed to meet somebody, then everything works out great.
Right. Well, there's a little disclaimer here.
Okay,
we
yes,
have to throw this out.
Yes.
This is not to say you can abandon all reason and discernment and throw caution to the wind and you know, run off to Las Vegas with somebody that you meet in a bar.
Right.
But, you know, so don't throw all reason out the window. We're just saying that when you feel that connection, honor it because it's coming from a true place inside of you.
Right. And we're also not saying that just because you have re-met somebody and you feel a connection with them, that forevermore the relationship is going to stay too.
Right.
Because that in itself could be a lesson.
This is true. That's a very good point.
All right, guys, so we want to hear from you. Who have you met that you knew instantly was someone that was supposed to be in your life, and what did you do to honor that relationship? We want to hear from you.
We do.
We're excited to see you next week so that we can move on to, do we remember what are we talking about next week?
More of this, but in a deeper way.
More of this in a deeper way. Okay, I'm always good at putting you on the spot, aren't I?
That's okay.
Okay, you guys, so thank you so much for joining Awaken with Lizzie B, and we are helping you awaken to your best self yet. Bye.
Bye.